Good Monday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is the 16th of December and I just have to remind you that tomorrow there will be no update as I will be traveling, but the days up towards Christmas there will be updates. And please also, I want to remind you that this is for educational purpose only. There's no advice whatsoever or recommendation to buy or sell anything on this one. This is just a live training session. S&P 500, let's start with that. S&P 500 moving sideways, a little bit bearish in a corrective phase, could test 6,000. There is a little bit of divergence here on the RSI, but still in a positive sentiment. And I think it will push higher towards the year. And if it takes out the previous peak here, just below 6,100, expect to move a little bit higher into the new year. Pre-market, more or less unchanged. Nasdaq 100 closed higher with a doji Friday, which can be interesting if we get a bearish candle today. Here pre-market we are about 0.25%, so maybe we won't get a bearish candle, but we are a little bit stressed here, as we can see with the RSI. You see these peaks here are lower than over here, so there's a little bit divergence there, imbalance in the market, so indicating we're a little bit stretched. And I think we'll see also market becoming thinner and thinner towards the year end, but then there's fresh money coming in the new year, so let's see about what's going on there. The Dow Jones has reached the 61.8 retracement at 43,753. I think we could see a bounce, but it's not unlikely we push all the way down to around 43,500, and then we see a bounce. But I think we will see a bounce also if we get the RSI to not close below the 40 threshold. That would be key. And what's going on in Asia this morning? Well, Seng is being sold off once again, a bit more than 1% lower again, and it is being rejected here on the RSI twice, and I think we'll see it sliding lower towards Christmas period, 19,500, but the key support is here at 19,000, where we also have the 100 moving average coming up, giving some adding to the support strength there. We are below the 55, we are below the cloud, and we are still in a bearish sentiment since RSI couldn't close above 60 threshold. So I think we'll see it sliding lower towards that towards Christmas. On the European markets, on the Eurostoxx 50, well, it still needs to close about 5,000 to really move higher. I think we'll see that before Christmas, because we are still in a positive sentiment on the RSI, and no divergence, no imbalance, so it could push higher, but I want to see it materialize before I really call it. But there is a fairly strong indications, strong support here around 4,900. And we are above the cloud, so we should see it pushing higher towards Christmas and towards year end. Pre-market we are down. Let's just have a look at that very quickly. We are down about 0.25%, but that can change. But let's see. Again, 5,000 really needs to be broken before the uptrend is resuming. On the DAX index, well, also crawling a little bit higher, but also a little bit stressed here on the RSI. If it closes below 20,277, well, then expect a correction down to at least 20,000, maybe a little bit lower. Here pre-market more or less unchanged. As we can see, it's weak. It actually spiked higher there Friday on the futures / the CFD. So maybe we are in for a little bit of correction here down to around 20,000 before moving higher. Finally, on the CAC 40 index. CAC 40 index, well, still lagging the other markets. We are in a positive sentiment, but it really needs to close this gap here and close above 75.11 for building an uptrend towards 7,700. Euro dollar, well, we can more or less consider the shoulder pattern busted. It is not yet confirmed, but then there will be an very complex inverted shoulder, head shoulder with two shoulders. If it moves back above this or above this neckline and especially closing above 106.10, that will confirm a bullish correction towards 107, 107.60. You can see strong support here at 104.60 that needs to hold. If it breaks below, once again it dipped just below here Friday, well then we will see a push lower, so it can still play out, so I'll still keep it there, but it will just be a complex one. The sterling dollar cable here, testing support at 126.12. If it moves back below that, well, then we're looking at 125 levels, the support and previous peaks down here, that is likely to be tested again. And I actually think that will play out, but we will see a little bit of a bounce here from current levels. We are in a negative sentiment. There is no divergence on the RSI, so I think we'll see it pushing lower here in the next few days. Euro sterling, a very strong bounce that ended the week. But this morning it opened lower, but then suddenly it's also pushing higher again, and I think we'll see it to 83.35 and testing this falling trend line here. That would be key if it can break above that and RSI can close above 60 threshold. Well, then there is potential to take out this resistance. There's potential to move back above the cloud area, but then we have the 100 moving average that would give it a hard time around these levels here, around 83.65, 83.75. That will be key. If it does close above that, well, then there's potential much higher. Otherwise, we will see it being rejected and slide back lower. On the yen pairs, we have dollar yen pushing higher in this corrective phase here. Currently, the RSI is testing the 60 threshold, and that will be key if dollar yen should move higher than the 61.8 retracement at 153.65, or being rejected here and slide back lower. But we can see the 55 moving average pushing higher. We have the 200 also slightly pushing higher here, and I think we'll see the 55 breaking the 200 here within a couple of days, forming what could be this what we call a golden cross or gold cross, indicating we are likely to see higher levels on dollar yen. I actually think we'll see it move towards 155 and also back to the 156.75 resistance up here. This resistance area here could be tested if we also get the RSI to close above 60 threshold. So look out for what's happening here the next couple of days, but the underlying trend is bullish. The Euro yen is currently testing the 161.90 resistance. The RSI is still below the 60 threshold, but I still think we could see it, and I actually will remove this one. I think we could see it pushing towards 162.67, which is the 61.8 retracement of this downtrend here. I think we could see it push up there, and that could be interesting. What will happen in this region, and what will happen with the RSI here at the 60 threshold? Will it be rejected in both areas or not, or both levels, and then slide back lower? And that would be the key question. We have the 55 moving average more or less flat, so it doesn't give us much indication other than it is adding to the resistance strength. The Aussie yen pair, well, testing the 38.2 retracement and the 98 resistance, and we have the 100 coming down here, adding to the resistance strength. We have the 55 also coming down here, so that can still be a little bit of a pressure to the downside. Also below here, the cloud area, indicating we could push lower. But if it takes out the peak here today at 98.20, then I think we could see a push up to 99, maybe even 99.77, which is the 61.8 retracement of this downtrend here. So keep an eye on these levels here for rejection or a little break higher. Sterling yen, last one when we're talking about yen pairs, and it is trading in just below the 55 and the 200 moving average. There is potential up to the 61.8 retracement, 195 42 of this downtrend here. RSI is still in a negative sentiment, could come up and test the 60 threshold and then being rejected. But I think we will see sterling yen being locked in between the 195 and 192.5 area here, where we have the 100 moving average. So it could be locked in here for the next few days. So keep an eye on breakout of this 192.50 to the downside. Aussie dollar, well, it is still trying to find its ground here around the 63.60, 63.50 area. And it seems like it is finding some support. I still believe we could see a little bit of a bounce, but how much can it bounce? But there's divergence on the RSI a little bit, so we could see a bounce, but the overall trend is bearish. But if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's actually going on. It is around these levels here from back in August and from back in when is that is back in April, and then we have this area over here from back sometime last year in October. So the difference here is that now all moving averages are actually pointing much lower. We have the 21 moving below the 100 and the 55 weekly. So the pressure will be to the downside. We could see a bit of correction short term, but I think also medium term we will see a push lower towards a 63 even. Dollar Canada pushing higher. Dollar Canada pushing higher towards 143. Seems to becoming a little bit tired here at 142.42, which is a 176.4 projection of this correction here. Maybe a little bit of a setback, but the trend is bullish also on the medium term, as we can see here on the weekly. And I think I've shown the weekly before. We can see we have to go back all the way back here to 2020, where we are trading in this area here. So there will be some resistance in this area here, and I do expect a little bit of correction, but the trend is bullish. However, there is divergence, as you can see here on the RSI. We are indicating some short-term trend exhaustion, but the trend is your friend, so let's push it higher. And what we can do, we can remove this one. We can say, well, there is a bit of support, and as long as we stay above the 141.20, 149.90, we are still in a bullish trend. So let's keep an eye on what's going on if it takes out that level there. The Sterling Canada in a correction phase, and I think it will bounce here around 179. I'm not quite sure we'll get all the way down to the 38.2 retracement and back below the cloud area. I'm not quite sure about that, because we have bullish sentiment or positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. We are below the 60, but we're still in a positive sentiment. So if it starts moving back above 60 threshold, I will say, well, then we'll have another go at these peaks here, just above 181.5 area and put towards 182. So we are in a bullish trend there, just in a correction phase. That could take it a little bit lower, but keep an eye on that, maybe spiking down to the 38.2 and then bounce. Euro Swiss spiked higher this morning, been very volatile this morning, quite interestingly. The Euro Swiss spiked up to the 786 retracement of this downtrend here at 93 and 98, just below the 94. I don't think we got up there. No, we didn't. And testing this upper falling trend line here, it was very close to Friday, but this morning it also did that. I think we'll remove this one because it's a little bit upside down. But the upper falling trend line there is actually key. If we can get above, close above 94, and if we can get above the cloud area, and the RSI will probably then also close above 60 threshold, but then the 94.50 resistance up here is likely to be tested and also broken, because then we are suddenly starting to build a bullish trend, at least short term, and with potential up to 95 also. So that is really key here the next few days. If it takes out the lows from today and move back below 93.30, then I think we'll see downtrend resuming with a push towards 92.70, 92.5 once again. Dollar Swiss also on the move, but it seems now to perform a correction that could push it a little bit lower. towards the 88.70, maybe a little bit lower. But we are in a bullish trend. However, the RSI could slide back below here, 60 threshold, indicating we will see a little bit of a correction. So we could be stuck down here around the 88.50, or 88.70 area here for some time. If it takes out the peak there from Friday at 89.46, then I think we'll see the top here from the peak here from November being taken out with a push up to around 90. We are in a bullish trend, so that is the likely scenario that we will see. On the dollar index. Dollar index also a little bit of correction after the 61.8 retracement has been reached in this bounce here. We are in a bullish trend. There is a little bit divergence on the RSI indicating uptrend stretched. If it moves back below 106.40, then I think we will see it sliding back in this area here. But we are above the cloud. We are above all moving averages that are all rising. So the underlying trend is is bullish, and I still think we will see it pushing higher here in the coming week or so. Gold that was rejected at 27.21 late last week is now caught in this cloud area here, so it's kind of in a neutral position. However, the RSI actually did close above 60 threshold, indicating it should start moving higher once again here on the gold. And if it can get back up the cloud, it didn't close above the cloud, but the resistance here at 27.22, I would say, add a little bit to that. Then that is key. It really needs to break above it and close above it for uptrend to resume. We can add a trend line here. Maybe we're forming a ascending triangle-like pattern, but at least I will say that if it moves back below the lows there at 26.05, the 100 moving average will give it some support, so we could be locked in here. But if it starts moving below 2600, well, then we are looking at these lows here again at 25.46. On the silver spot, well, it got rejected once again. It couldn't really get above that 32 and a quarter, a little bit higher than that, but it is a really strong resistance apparently. And the RSI also retracted at 60 threshold. So now we are down here at the 30 level again. We could test the 30s, but 10.30 a little bit, but very strong support in this region here at 29.70. And finally on copper, that couldn't hold up either, so it got rejected here at the 200 moving average. The 55 is now declining, so I think we could see copper sliding back to the 410, 406, 405 area where we have some strong support. But the RSI is actually negative sentiment. It got rejected here just a bit below 60 threshold. If it starts moving back below 40, well, then we are very likely to see copper down here at 405. WTI crude oil, well, it broke this falling trend line here, which was not the strongest anyway. What is key is the cloud area, the flat area up here at the cloud, and 100 moving average. The cloud area up here is at 71.87. That will be key. If it can close above that, then I think we will also see the RSI closing above 60 threshold, which will indicating a bullish trend with a potential higher towards 75, 77 level, and the 200 moving average will give it a little bit of a hard time getting all the way up to 77.5. If it's being rejected here, sliding back below this falling trend line here, and it can't close above the cloud area, then I think we'll get down here in this area around below 70, below 68, 70, 67.50, and again 66.70 is the key support. Brent crude oil, more or less the same picture really, and very close to testing cloud area. We have the 100 moving average there, and here we have the cloud area that it needs to be broken. It needs to get back above the 75 for a push higher. If it closes above 75, we probably also get the RSI to close above 60 threshold, which will indicate higher levels on Brent towards 80. On the Dutch TTF gas, that really seen a sell-off lately. almost down to the 786 retracement at 40, spot 49 Friday. But this morning we can see it actually opened even lower. So it seems like pushing lower. It could actually push all the way down to the 38. So it seems like Dutch TTF gas is really not in desperate need at the moment for buying that after this double top like pattern, the abandoned baby, closing of the gap, and then a massive sell-off. Could actually dip down to 38 before it sees some strong buyers coming in. Henry Hub gas also got rejected at the previous peak there at 356. Could test the $3 here next couple of days, so that is an area to watch out for. I'd say just this a little bit, say okay, this is what we are looking for, just below the $3. If it takes out that, well, then there's a potential down to around a 273 level. On to yields. The US 10-year Treasury yields has moved higher in both the Thursday and Friday session, pushing almost all the way up to the 786 retracement at 442. So we are actually at 440 at the moment. A little bit of a setback, but we are in a positive sentiment with the RSI above the 60 threshold and indicating likely higher levels. We could get back up to the 450 level, and that would be interesting. We'll get that is really key resistance. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see why that is such a key level. You can see here the falling trend line here is once again being tested, but above 450. Well, that will be key to break that, and then we are in a bullish trend also on the weekly chart, and there is a very big chance that that scenario will play out. We can see all moving averages here on the weekly are now pushing higher. The RSI in a positive sentiment, and we are above the cloud area once again. So if we close above 450, then we are likely to see even higher levels on the US 10-year yields. On the 2-year has also bounced strongly, and is currently above the 61.8 retracement at 422. I think we'll see it testing the 786 retracement at 428, but the key down here will be the RSI. Can it close above 60 threshold or not, or being rejected? That will be key here the next few days. If it does, well, then there's potential higher. We are above the cloud. We are above the 55 moving average that is rising. There will be some strong resistance here up at 435 that could send it back lower a little bit. The EUROBund future, that was the yields we were looking at. EuroBund future got hit by heavy selling after testing the 136.29 resistance. We can see these peaks here in this region couldn't really hold up, and now we are down here to test the possibly 134 and a quarter support, bouncing a little bit this morning. I think it will keep bouncing a little bit, so there's some strong support here in this region. Moving averages rising, but at a slower pace, so I'm not quite sure we'll break that level anytime soon for good. We can see why it's such an important level here around 136.29, and it actually spiked a little bit above, but it is still struggling to keep up. And finally, on the UK gilts, that also saw a massive sell-off here late last week, and it is continuing this morning, it seems. Let's see. No, we are not open over there just yet, but we are below the 61.8 retracement. I think we will see it pushing lower towards 786 retracement at 93.73. We can see the RSI back in a negative sentiment. We could push even lower here in the coming days and weeks, and the weekly chart still in a bearish, showing a bearish trend towards 91.90 level. Bitcoin is pushing higher, and now we are above 105,500. We were actually pushing a little bit higher. I think we also was above, yes, we were about 106,500. So we are in a bullish trend. It is continuing. I think it will do that despite showing a divergence on the RSI. Higher highs, higher lows. We could be reaching 109, maybe even 110 fairly shortly. It's not the strongest trend, but still it is a bullish trend. On the Ethereum, it really needs to break this key resistance here at just below 4,100. If it does that, well, then there's also potential higher for the Ethereum, but it is struggling, and we can see why it's such a strong one. It got rejected back there. So that is that would be the key level to watch out for in Ethereum. All right, that's all for today. And remember, there is no update tomorrow since I will be on an airplane traveling, but then I will then again do some updates coming your way. Have a nice day.